From American politics to global events, when breaking news hits, you'll never miss a moment again. Search MSNBC on TuneIn to hear the latest.
Stuck in traffic during the big game? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to your favorite NFL team on the go. No TV required. Even during rush hour, you won't miss a single touchdown. Listen to the NFL on TuneIn Premium today.
Welcome back. Let's do some of the questions now. Jimmy, I got one for you first. Scott in Atlanta, Georgia, Royal Dutch.
Yeah,
Buy, sell, hold.
I still like this. I mean, we've got to put it in the context of the energy sector has been a tough place to be. It's 5% of the S&P 500. I think you want some exposure. Maybe this is a chicken way of playing it, but you got a 6.3% dividend. They're buying back shares. This is what I've been talking about for weeks. They're generating free cash flow. Stick with Royal Dutch Shell.
All right, Jenny, for you from Terry in San Diego. Delta. What do you think of Delta Airlines long-term play?
So at 8 times earnings, I think Delta might be one of those quintessential value traps, right? Where 8 times you're like, ooh, great multiple. We all know this stock. We all know the company. But I think it's not compelling. It's basically not grown revenues over the past 5 years. Stock hasn't really done much over the past 5 years. Meanwhile, it's in a really competitive, really cyclical industry. So I think you steer clear of it. But if you want to make a play on that, we know people like to travel. We know they've got plenty of money to spend. Maybe look at Marriott. That has grown a lot over the last 5 years.
Okay, thanks for that. John, for you from Greg in LA. Planet Fitness. So he says, has taken a plunge. Would you hold, buy more, or just do nothing and go work out there?
I'd love to go work out there. But 1 in 6 people in America are going to be over 65 within the next decade. I think a lot of us want to stay in better shape. This obviously works towards that, Scott. And we had unusual activity in this one, middle of August, made a nice $10 pop. It has sold off, to this gentleman's point. I would be a buyer down here at this level.
Okay, Weiss, lastly for you from Randy in Jacksonville, Boeing. What do you do with Boeing? And by the way, I mean, the CEO is speaking as we speak at the New York Economic Club. We're monitoring that and bringing any headlines that Mr. Mullenberg has to say. But what do you do with this stock?
It's another one I haven't sold, and it's a painful day to have it as one of my largest positions. But fortunately, still positive. I think you stay with it, and I think you can buy a little down here, actually. It's all a question of when they come back with the MAX. And the MAX is going to come back. Now, if it doesn't happen before the Christmas holidays, well, it's a negative. But it'll happen, and we'll forget about it when it comes back in January, if that's when it does. Right now, still slated to come on before.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks for the questions. Thank you all for the answers. Coming up, David Einhorn's Greenlight Capital making a comeback this year. We're following the money, doing it next on Halftime.
Ask Halftime is sponsored by Interactive Brokers.
The relaxing sound of fresh, cold running water. And you can have it in your kitchen. With amazing savings on Samsung fridge freezers at Currys PC World. Like the RB31 with its chilled water dispenser for only $399. Or upgrade to the Samsung RS8000 American-style fridge freezer with water and ice dispenser. A huge 609 litres of storage space. At just $104.9. How relaxing. At Currys PC World. Energy rating A+. T's and C's apply.
No one wants to get caught in the cold in London. We're with you. So our boilers come with 2 years interest-free credit to avoid a big chill to your wallet. You'll get a 5-year British Gas warranty. And now we can even quote by video call after work or weekends at a time that suits you. Get a quote by the 30th of November and get £150 off a new boiler or £450 off for existing home care customers. Search British Gas New Boiler. Conditions apply.
Stuck in traffic during the big game? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to your favorite NFL team on the go. No TV required. Even during rush hour, you won't miss a single touchdown. Listen to the NFL on TuneIn Premium today.
From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca, the Daily Sports Update. Major League Baseball wildcard action for the American League. We've got the Rays at the Athletics. This one's going to be Wednesday at 8:09 p.m. Eastern. How are the teams feeling?
It's really amazing. It's just a special day. More importantly, we get the win and in a crucial time, and we battle our butts off today.
Now, if you want to catch that game, search MLB. That's your TuneIn Sports Update.
Hi, this is Brian Weber, host of NFL First and Goal every Sunday, kicking off at 1 Eastern only on TuneIn Premium. Be sure to listen this Sunday for the ultimate football fan experience, featuring 7 hours of commercial-free coverage of every scoring play around the NFL.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Welcome back. We talked a lot about the rotation in the market from growth to value. Well, the comeback in value stocks helping one big investor make a comeback of his own. Greenlight's David Einhorn has struggled through 2018 with a 34% decline, posting a strong rebound this year. Leslie Picker, following that money in the hedge fund industry, joins us with more. It's all about value, I guess, for Mr. Einhorn this year.
Yeah, I think if there's one way to really personify today's markets, it's David Einhorn, and his September performance is indicative of that. Up more than 8% for the month, 24% for the year. And that is because, Scott, as you know, letter after letter, quarter after quarter, for the last few years, he's really been pounding the pavement, looking for a resurgence in value stock, because he's positioned his portfolio as such: long value, short growth. So far, that trade hadn't really paid off, and in September, we saw a huge reversal of that.
Ackman's having a good year. Einhorn's having a good year. Active managers are having a better year. Staying power?
Must be something about the volatility in the market, the sell-off, the complicated storylines that are out there. I think hedge funds, at least what they tout to their investors, is that these are the types of environments, these are the types of conditions where they really do flourish and show their value add to their investors. Now, it remains to be seen whether that will continue throughout the end of the year. That's the important part for LPs looking at whether to continue investing in hedge funds, is can they maintain that performance, and what does that look like relative to the benchmarks by which those various fund managers are measured. Einhorn, Ackman, both measured against the S&P 500, for example, because they do run a somewhat concentrated book of equities, long short.
Yeah. I got Steve Weiss here with me as well.
Hey, Leslie.
I mean, you follow this industry closer than most. Active managers, is active management making a big-time comeback?
No, it's actually continuing to go the other way. You're at the point where passive money is controlling now 50% of more than every stock out there. There are lots of issues with passive money because they're not necessarily engaged with companies. But it's not just hedge funds that have underperformed. It's important to understand that. Historically, more than 75% of all active managers underperform. A month like the way this month is shaping up will be a good test, because you invest in hedge fund managers to protect your downside. And historically, they haven't done such a great job of it. We'll see if they do it now, if they do it this month. If they do, they get the fees. But for all the family offices I talk to, I'm talking about $1 billion and above single families, there's not a huge appetite for hedge funds. Everybody hasn't exited, but there's not a huge appetite. And by the way, they're losing their appetite for private equity also.
Where the gains, I mean, the private equity stocks have done
which
unbelievably well this year.
Right, and I'm short SoftBank, which is really a private equity stock. I put that on mostly today. And that's my hedge on one hand against Carlyle, which I own, and Apollo, which I own. But also, I mean, you take a look at the write-downs of what they've done, and they're the ones, it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. They put more money into WeWorks and drive up the valuation.
Right.
So I think they've got major issues there at SoftBank.
Leslie, quickly, if you could, I'll leave you with the last thought.
Well, I would say that while there has certainly been more money going into passive securities over the last few years, active managers have made, in terms of performance, a little bit more of a comeback. I think about 47% of active managers are beating their benchmark this year, up from somewhere in the 30s in years prior. So from a performance standpoint, they are doing better, although not great. Certainly not a majority are beating their benchmarks, which I think is what investors would like to see happen.
Yeah, appreciate it as always. Leslie, thank you. That's our Leslie Picker down at the Stock Exchange for us. Canopy Growth making another big bet, and it could impact the sports world big time. Pot and pro athletes. We're going to debate that next.
If you're collecting your prescription, don't assume you can claim it for free. Not all benefits entitle you to free prescriptions. And if you claim when you're not entitled, you could face a penalty charge of up to £100. Thankfully, there's a simple way to find out if you should be paying. Search Check Before You Tick online and use our eligibility checker to find out if your benefits mean you can claim for free. or you can ask your pharmacy team. So always remember to check before you tick. This was brought to you by the NHS.
You don't just live in one room, so why should your Wi-Fi? With Sky Broadband's Wi-Fi guarantee, you'll get Wi-Fi in every room or money back. Perfect for food shopping in the bedroom, gaming in your PJs in the lounge, or streaming sci-fi movies in the kitchen. Get Sky's super-fast broadband and Wi-Fi guarantee. £32 a month for 18 months with $19.95 setup. Click on the banner now.
Sky Fibre errors, Sky Kit required. Refund on boost component of subscription paid during current minimum term up to date of claim. Minimum 3 megabits per second or money back. Prices may change during minimum term. See sky.com/guarantee.
No one wants to get caught in the cold in London. We're with you. So our boilers come with 2 years interest-free credit to avoid a big chill to your wallet. You'll get a 5-year British Gas warranty. And now we can even quote by video call after work or weekends at a time that suits you. Get a quote by the 30th of November and get £150 off a new boiler or £450 off for existing home care customers. Search British Gas New Boiler. Conditions apply.
Catch the latest news as it happens with MSNBC on TuneIn. From American politics to global events, when breaking news hits, you'll never miss a moment again. Search MSNBC on TuneIn to hear the latest.
Good. Here's a swing and a drive deep to right field. Looking up. Goodbye, baseball.
Between game-winning shots and walk-off homers, follow TuneIn on social media to discover the latest and greatest in live sports.
With the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft.
From live reminders that the biggest MLB games are on the air, to recommendations of the best new sports talk shows and podcasts.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be good right away in 3 years.
Follow at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
From the TuneIn Studios, I'm Fonseca, the Daily Sports Update. Major League Baseball wildcard action for the American League. We've got the Rays at the Athletics. This one's going to be Wednesday at 8:09 p.m. Eastern. How are the teams feeling?
It's really amazing. It's just a special day. More importantly, we get the win and in a crucial time, and we battle our butts off today.
Now, if you want to catch that game, search MLB at your TuneIn Sports Update.
Online now. Read Karis Leif's article on the one industrials group to buy as others slide from the manufacturing slump. Go to tradingnation.cnbc.com now.
On this week's On the Media, whistleblowers in the intelligence community have virtually no rights, even when the stuff they're blowing the whistle on isn't classified.
Quick call whistleblowing, the sound of professional suicide. This is scorched earth conflict of the highest stakes.
More on this and the peculiar circumstances around the effort to impeach on the next On the Media. Listen to the On the Media podcast on TuneIn today.
College football is live on TuneIn. Listen for free to games from more than 140 schools all season long.
To the 10, all the way to the checkerboards, but he stays on his feet and scores.
What's happening in college football this week, this Saturday? The scoreboard will be working overtime as Sam Ehlinger brings his vaunted Texas Longhorns passing attack to West Virginia for a Big 12 conference matchup against the Mountaineers. The action starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Just search college to listen today.
Deep left center field. A grand slam!
October baseball is here, and TuneIn Premium is your ticket to the 2019 MLB postseason. Featuring the home and away feeds for every game, TuneIn Premium delivers every call of the ALCS, NLCS, and the 2019 World Series through the voices of the local radio broadcast teams.
In the air, left field and deep. He's at the wall!
Now until a new champion is crowned, hear every play of the 2019 MLB postseason live on TuneIn Premium. Upgrade today.
It's Liz Hernandez with your TuneIn Music News Update.
Perez Hilton says Halsey is dating American Horror Story actor Evan Peters. In 2012, she tweeted, "Evan Peters, stop making me attracted to alleged sociopaths and accused murderers." Then in 2014, Halsey posted, "I'm so in love with Evan Peters. I'm so whipped." Meanwhile, Ed Sheeran tells People magazine that he's always shooting for the top. Ed says, "If you're a basketball player, you should aim to be better than LeBron James. You have to aim for the top." To hear music from Halsey and Ed Sheeran, search today's hits on TuneIn. You're listening to TuneIn, where you can hear all the audio you love in one place. Live NFL games, the hottest music, breaking news, and podcasts. Push play and go about your day, only on TuneIn.
We're back. Professional athletes endorsing CBD products potentially taking a big step forward today. Canopy Growth announcing it's buying a majority stake in the Canadian sports nutrition company BioSteel. That company counting NFL star Ezekiel Elliott as an ambassador, meaning he could become the first active NFL player to endorse CBD if allowed by the league. BioSteel co-founded by former NHL player Mike Camilleri, who says the company's products are used by 70% of teams in the 4 major sports. He had a long career in the NHL, always had a pretty good business head, and co-founded this company, and they did a deal today with Canopy. Doc, the Ezekiel Elliott thing got us so interested because could you imagine an active NFL player actively endorsing a product like this?
Yeah, and I certainly could, and it turns out with CBD, rather than cannabis, that you do have that possibility that the NFL would give it a thumbs up. Great for treating PTSD, great for various pain management and so forth for hockey, football, basketball, any athlete, as well as, of course, first responders or anybody that gets PTSD-like symptoms. It was interesting also, Judge, that Gronkowski, when he retired, he got on with Abacus. And he's doing something similar, although he can touch the flower, as they say. He can bring THC into what he's doing. It's just that Ezekiel, it would have to be straight
of course,
CBD.
no longer an active player.
Right.
Big in the NHL, as you might expect, given Camilleri's background. Wayne Gretzky, NHL Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. He's a brand ambassador, but they've got Tyler Seguin of Dallas Stars. Andrew Wiggins is with the Timberwolves in the NBA. Jalen Ramsey's going through a contract. Well, he's kind of unhappy with the Jaguars, but he's another high-profile and big-name athlete, again, who's a brand ambassador. You invest in these stocks?
I do.
You do? Which ones?
Well, we have
We never talk about this.
Canopy is one of our biggest investments, but we have an ETF called THCX, and it invests in 35 different stocks to give you a diversified portfolio, not all your eggs in one basket. But Canopy is one of the leaders in this space.
Okay.
They are great.
Let's, before we get out of here, talk about the market. You know about the sell-off now. Look at the Dow. It's down 570. Lows of the day, that's a loss of more than 2%. The Dow's 2-day sell-off is now almost 3.5%. Our thanks to Peter Shacknow on our news desk. For that, it's an ugly, ugly day, Steve Weiss.
I'm not looking for any relief. I mean, when you sell down this much, normally it's normal to have a bounce. It's going to be a news-driven bounce. We've got employment numbers coming out on Friday. We'll see what that does to it. I think that number's picked up huge importance at this point.
Okay. Let's do some final trades. We've got about a minute left. Jenny, why don't you go first?
Sure. Lamar Advertising. Lamar gets 100% of their revenues from North America, so there's no tariff trade exposure there. Well managed. As you drive down the highway, look at the billboards. Half of them are going to be Lamar. It's got a 4.7% dividend yield.
Yeah. Tough day for everything, obviously.
Tough day means opportunity, though.
Yeah, well, that's good. Farmer Jim, what do you got for me?
Well, I'm making the assumption that rational outcomes will eventually be achieved in terms of a trade deal, and we'll look back on this as a correction and say, what should we have picked up? Apple. Okay, Apple was about to touch an all-time high just about a week ago. It was 2% away, and it was clearly headed that way. There's no indication that iPhones aren't selling. In fact, they seem to be selling quite well, and the supply chain looks good. I think this is an opportunity to buy Apple.
Wow, at 218.
Let me say it for you. Didn't like it at 155.
Glad I don't even have to say it anymore. I'm glad. Doc, sorry.
Snap, SNAP, like the way it's acting right here in the 14s. I'm buying it.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, everybody.
I'm going with Boeing. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I figured. The exchange begins now.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the exchange. Stocks are selling off for the second day in a row now, and the losses are deepening as worries grow about the economy. Investors also keeping a close eye on the campaign trail today, where more health issues have surfaced for Bernie Sanders, and that has speculation about an Elizabeth Warren presidency growing. Here's the Dow, down almost 600 points. In fact, we just touched that level a moment ago. That's a 2.2% decline. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P are all down for the 4th time in 5 days now. Let's get the latest from Seema Modi with the top line numbers. Seema.
Hey, Kelly. Yeah, a picture of a broadly weaker economy is driving all major indices down by around 2% on the day. The S&P 500 is sitting at its lowest level since late August. And with today's losses, it's down about 5% from its all-time high, currently trading at 28.76. So we are actually at the lows of the day. Taking a step back, the rotation into some of these popular safety trades is notable today. The 10-year yield down again here at 1.58%. Gold is higher by around 1.25%. The dollar is slightly weaker, but still hovering around a 2-year high. That, of course, is going to be a big challenge for some of these multinationals that are getting set to report in the next week. Some of those multinationals are in the industrial sector, which is currently the worst performing sector, down about 2.5%. Big names like Deere, Caterpillar, 3M, Arconic, you can see here, an aluminum producer, down nearly 5%, responding to the weak manufacturing data overnight, plus uncertainty around those upcoming trade talks. Kelly?
All right, Seema, appreciate it very much. Thank you. Let's drill down a little deeper now with Bob Bassani, who's at the New York Stock Exchange. And Bob, it's all coming down to this recession game and which side of it you're on.
No, that's right, Kelly. What side of the recession debate are you on? That's the question. You know, even a slowdown, not a recession, and a slowdown is still the consensus, basically, not a recession, might change the way you look at things. So weak manufacturing is not going to send the economy down, but a weak consumer could. But there's no sign of that yet. So for an early warning sign, I have been watching the big consumer stocks that have all done really well this year. The Costco's, the Home Depot's, the Starbucks, the Nikes, the McDonald's. You see these numbers here, all still strong. Now, there are some cracks emerging a little bit. Starbucks in particular has been weaker in the last month, down a little more than 10%. But given how big it is in China, maybe that's a little understandable. Here you see the names today, though, all down about 2% in line with the market. You can argue to go to defensive stocks like consumer staples if you think there's going to be a slowdown. But remember something, those consumer staple stocks have had a big run up this year, so they're expensive. So the Coca-Colas, the Procter & Gamble's, the Pepsi's, General Mills, Kimberly-Clark's, Walmart's, they've all had double-digit moves up today, and all you see trading down today. Tough market here, a lot of expensive stuff, and we're just off the highs. Back to you, Kelly.
Which side are you on? Apparently a Pete Seeger song, Bob. That's it. That's our theme of the day. We'll take it and run with it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Concerns about an economic slowdown hitting markets and currencies. The dollar falling against the euro. Small cap sliding deeper into a correction. Let's bring in Kathy Lean. She's managing director of FX strategy at BK Asset Management. Eric Marshall is co-portfolio manager of the Hodges Small Cap Fund. And CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman is here so that everybody can talk.
1931, actually performed by Pete Seeger, but written by a woman named Florence Reese relative to the Kentucky
in 1931.
miners' strike. No.
But it's funny
Pete Seeger sang it.
The date of that, and I don't want any comparisons to 1931 on a
Good
day when
idea.
we're down 600 points, Steve. Why don't you tell us what intensified the selling pressure on a payrolls report that was frankly not terrible?
It's not terrible. It is slowing down, and look, people just don't have a sense of the bottom here. There was a bit of a debate in the last hour as to whether or not ISM manufacturing was bottoming. One economist said it is. Most economists I talk to say it's not. There's no indication of bottoming. You've had these 2 months in a row of contraction in manufacturing. You've got global economic weakness. You have a decline in confidence among CEOs and a decline in confidence among consumers, and those are reasons for concern. All of that said, the current track of the economy in our CNBC Rapid Update, which gets a median of all the tracking forecasts on the street,